Okay, so since we left the web browser, we've got a bit of a glitch going on with the Satio. As you can see in the bottom right corner here, we've still got the full screen icon, even though we've completely exited the web browser. So if we go into a different menu, you can see the icon stays there regardless of what's happening on the screen. So it seems that all the bugs aren't quite worked out with the Satio so far with the update that we've had recently on it. Anyway, going into music, you can see we've got different ways of finding our music by artist, album or track. You can also create playlists on the handset, and then there's things like audiobooks and podcasts are also supported. So we just go into albums, for example. You can see at the side here we've got all the album art for all the music we've got on the memory card that has album art set. So if we just pick an album, we can then go and choose a song. So just say go for this one. And then it will just play straight away through the loudspeaker on the top of the handset there, which can also be used for voice for calls as well as a loudspeaker. You can see we get quite a lot of information on the screen all at once. We've got the artist name and the song name and the album name at the top. Then obviously a larger version of the album art that we saw a minute ago. And then some controls at the bottom here. Also get a counter that counts up and down, and also the number of the song in the playlist that it's currently playing. You've also got some little controls at the top for shuffling and repeating the song, which is quite handy. You just tap on them to activate them. And also a volume control at the bottom, which you can use on screen, or you can use the volume control on the side to adjust the volume as well. As you can see, as I've rotated the phone as well, you can actually use a music player in landscape mode as well as in portrait mode, just by turning the device. Beneath that we've also got this button here, which takes us back to the home screen and allows us to play the music on the home screen whilst we do other things. So we could then go back into the web browser or use different functions, maybe view some photographs or something as the music is playing. And we can control the music from the home screen as well, just by tapping on the on-screen buttons. And as you can see, it makes visualizations as we do that. You can go straight back into the music player just by tapping on the album art picture there, and then we can exit out properly and get rid of that. If we want to check if there's any bits and pieces still open, we can just press and hold the menu button here. We get the task manager, so as you can see the web browser is still open there, and we can hopefully, if that's not frozen, maybe quit out. Perhaps that'll get rid of our glitchy icon as well. There we go, our icon's gone now, which is pretty handy. So now that's all closed down, you can see the application is completely gone now from here. And we can go back and have a look at the video player. So if we just move on into the video player there, you can see we've got a YouTube option, or we can just view any videos we've taken or any videos loaded on the card. So we've got a movie loaded on the card here. And we can again watch that in either landscape mode or portrait mode. So there's landscape. It's pretty good quality. As you can see, the screen's quite bright, and you can adjust the volume as well on the top there. So it's quite a bright screen, pretty good playback. It doesn't support Xvid or DivX videos though, which is a bit of a shame. But you use your AVIs and MP4s, it does support, so you can put most videos on there pretty easily. Anything that your iPod would quite easily play from iTunes could be loaded onto here. So as the Satio is mainly about its camera function, I'll quickly show you that. It's a simple case of just sliding back the lens cover. You can see you get some LEDs light up on the shutter button inside the lens cover. And then the camera screen actually turns into the viewfinder. So we've got some various options at the side here, if just try and get it in focus. So we've got some different scene modes. We've also got some shoot modes, so you've got best pick and different bits and pieces like that you've seen before on Sony Ericsson camera phones. Things like smile recognition and panorama mode, bits and pieces like that, which are pretty handy. I've also got a nice touch to focus feature as well, so you can actually touch whereabouts on the screen you want the camera to focus and then take a photo of. So that's pretty nice. Just bring the options back up. You can see we've got different flash settings as well, including red eye reduction. You can also set the exposure, although it appears not in this mode. And then you can turn auto off and on altogether. So if you're not really into changing the settings, you can just click the auto on and let it set up the camera all the way for you. There's also a video mode. As we mentioned before, you can access video mode just by using the button on the top here. So if we just press that, it switches across to video mode, and you can see instantly the settings at the side here change. So we've got a microphone setting, so you can turn that on and off. We've got a night mode setting, we've got a torch setting, so if you want to just turn a light on for the video if it's dark, it'll use the LED light which is used to focus with a normal camera. And that's pretty bright at night. You can't really see it here, but if it's dark it is pretty good and pretty adequate for quite dark situations. I've also got the exposure setting on this as well, which is actually allowing us to set it in the video mode. And then again a full auto mode if you just want to turn all that off and just let the camera do its thing. You can just hit that button. Video quality is actually pretty good for a Sony Ericsson. I think this is the best I've seen in terms of video on a Sony Ericsson. You can see you can get into all the options for the photo, video camera, and then just normal setup options as well. I've got things like geotagging on the Sony Ericsson Satio's camera. You can adjust the white balance and also the actual video resolution stuff as well. Also the photo resolution you can adjust the picture size. It doesn't have to be 12 megapixels, but weirdly enough, as you go down between 10, 9, 5 megapixels, the actual aspect ratio of the photo changes as well. So as you can see here, it's a 4:3 photo if it's 12 megapixels, 3:2 photo if it's 10, and a 16:9 photo if it's 9 megapixels. So depending on which setting you choose, the photo will actually come out a different shape. You can see we've also got things like a self-timer. You can have manual focus, as we showed you a minute ago, the touch to focus on the screen if you want to focus manually. There's an image stabilizer as well for if you've got a bit of a shaky hand, and also some different effects, just colour effects that you usually see on most cameras. If we can try and get it to respond to my touch. Ooh. There you go, you can see we've got negative, solarized, sepia and black and white. It's not very easy to actually get onto the options. As you can see here, I'm actually struggling to tap some of them. The screen is not the most responsive screen, which is a bit of a shame. But generally when I was outside with cold hands in the cold weather, it was still pretty easy to use the normal basic settings with the big buttons at the side. As you can see, buttons are quite large. Oops, a bit slow to react though. So you can quite easily press any of the buttons. And then once you've taken a photo, you can just hit the play key, just there, just next to the camera key. And it will take you straight into see the videos and photographs that you've taken. You can just swipe through all of those and have a look at your different shots that you've made. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we've got GPS on the Satio as well. So I'm just going to show you that we've got a few different location services. You can firstly geotag any photos you take, or we've got these different bits and pieces in this location folder. Firstly, you've got Google Maps, as you see on most different smartphones these days. And we've also got a WisePilot turn-by-turn navigation service. So we just quickly pop into Google Maps. You can see I've got it set to satellite view. And that's actually quite a surprise. Compared to the web browser, it's pretty quick to move around as you have a look around the map. It's a lot quicker and a lot more smooth than it is to move around web pages on the web browser. And also you can zoom in and out quite easily, and as you can see, the HSDPA connection is making a good job of loading up new map areas as I go into them. So obviously it's having to load this all on the fly, and it's doing so pretty quickly, which is quite good. And then we can just zoom out and zoom in using these buttons here. So that's pretty nice. We can just move back down to the options now and go and have a look at WisePilot. Unfortunately, I don't think we've got a GPS signal indoors here, so I'm not sure we're actually going to be able to see the navigation screen. But as you can see, it's a pretty large buttons, pretty easy to use whilst you're on the go. And you can search various different things, and we can search petrol stations and different stuff like that. So it's pretty good to use. You can search different intersections, businesses, all different kinds of details, and get it to give you step-by-step, turn-by-turn navigation. Last but not least, we'll just move on to messaging quickly, just so I can show you the keyboard. As you can see, we've got a few email accounts set up, so you can set up both POP3 and IMAP4 accounts, which is pretty good. We've also got RoadSync here, which is used to sync things from the Microsoft Exchange server if you've got one set up and you want to sync across maybe contacts and calendar entries. Then you can do that via this RoadSync program, which is pretty handy. So if we just go into a new message, I can show you the keyboard. Just tap down here, and as you can see, it's defaulted into this full screen QWERTY keyboard. You can actually change the keyboard down here at the bottom, so I can go to an alphanumeric one. And you can see we get that in landscape mode, portrait mode instead of landscape. Not sure if we can get it in. Yeah, we can get it in landscape mode as well. So you can use it at the side there, although obviously it seems a bit odd to have it over to one side. It's probably easier to use the alphanumeric keypad in portrait mode. There's a few other different options as well. We've got a handwriting mode, so you can just write on the screen with your finger to make your writing, or a mini QWERTY keyboard, which comes up at the bottom as you can see there. But as you can see, I mean, the mini QWERTY keyboard is tiny. I mean, you can't very accurately use that without pressing the wrong buttons, which is a bit of a shame, really. Personally, I would have liked to have had the full screen QWERTY keyboard, the large one, but have a portrait version. But unfortunately, you can only get the large QWERTY keyboard in landscape mode, not portrait mode. So that's the Sony Ericsson Satio. First 12.1 megapixel camera phone on the market, I believe. It takes some very impressive pictures whilst we've been using it, so we're pretty happy with the camera abilities of the Satio. Otherwise, the screen's maybe not as responsive as we've seen from things like the iPhone and various HTC devices with capacitive screens. But generally, it's not too bad for a resistive screen, and generally pretty easy to use. So overall, we're pretty impressed with the Sony Ericsson Satio. I'm Russ Jeffers from mobileburn.com.